Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Like to have everybody's attention for a moment.
There's a stat. I don't like bringing up stats, but there's one stat about the Panthers.
In the world is James Harden better scorer than Michael Jordan?
No, he's more creative in that.
Traveling is not creative, Brandon.
He doesn't.
No matter what the score is, and they've said themselves, whether they're up 10, down 20, whatever, they know they can turn it on whenever.
Why did you have to bring up the Cowboys in this conversation?
Lived in Texas for 2 years and just could not stand to watch Cowboys football.
All right, listen up.
Welcome down. Here's Desmond Johnson.
And welcome to the Rundown, a Wednesday edition live from East Coast Wings here in Kernersville, North Carolina. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Rod Funderburk, Brandon Blakeney in the house. What's going on, fellas, as we sit here on a remote Wednesday, the first full day of the ACC tournament, as I look above the bar here at the beautiful East Coast Wings in Kernersville. Miami and Clemson just tipped off 0-0 score out in Greensboro right now. But what's going on, fellas? Nice 70-degree day outside.
Oh, it's a gorgeous day outside, Des. It's good to see you again. Man, it is just sweet outside. The weather is lovely. Great day for basketball. Even better day because the Tar Heels won. They beat Virginia Tech last night and actually looked like a team last night.
They did.
So I was kind of excited about that. I'm looking forward to the ACC tournament.
Definitely, man. Happy to be here live and healthy again for another day. Rod, you was right, man. Weather's really sweet out there. Had the windows down on the way over here. Little Luke Combs going for people you know. If you know, you know.
Wow. I wouldn't have pegged you as a Luke Combs fan. That's
hey, man, I listen to a little bit of everything.
That's what's up. So you can actually check out the show per usual at bestsportstalkshow.com. You can actually interact with us during the show through the chat box there, or just go to Facebook Live. You can go to the Rundown with Desmond Johnson's page or Sports Carolina Monthly's page, or look up Sports Carolina Monthly on YouTube and you can find it there. The show will be on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, and more after the show is over with. I got a couple of topics we wanted to touch on today, but most of today is going to center around two topics: the coronavirus situation that's going on and how it's affecting the sports world. We'll get to that shortly. But first, I wanted to recap what happened yesterday in Greensboro, the first day of the ACC tournament. It's weird for me, being 42, to have the ACC tournament starting on a Wednesday for starters. Like, I'm used to the 3-day, 8 teams, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You play the ACC championship game at noon. It's usually Carolina versus somebody, or Duke versus somebody, or Carolina versus Duke, or whatever it is. It kind of built up the weekend to it. Everybody goes home happy. This is strange to me. It's always been strange since they expanded out to, well, this teams, because Georgia Tech got in some trouble, so they're not involved in this tournament. But to have 14 teams and to have Carolina playing as the 14th seed, which has never happened in my life, it's strange. But Carolina, they played really well yesterday. Ended up winning by close to 20, if I'm not mistaken. But the game before that, the season for Wake Forest is officially over. Pittsburgh won 81-72. Justin Champagne scored a career-high 31 points to lead Pittsburgh to an 81-72 victory over the Demon Deacons.
That freshman is the real deal.
Champagne?
Yeah, he can hoop.
Trey McGowan scored 14 points. Xavier Johnson had 10 and 8 assists. For Pitt, they are the tournament's 13th seed. Abdul Kareem Coulibaly, he chipped in with 10 points and 7 rebounds. Wake was the 12th seed. Did not look like it yesterday. They were led by Olivier Sarrs, 20 points and 13 rebounds. He's grown to a pretty solid player this year for the Demon Deacons. Isaiah Mucius had 19 points. Brandon Childress had 17 in his final game for the Demon Deacons. They finished the season 13-18. We've touched on it before, but after the game, Danny Manning said that he expects to actually return to Wake Forest next year. My question is, should he?
I don't see how you justify keeping him at this point. You don't have like a really big recruiting class coming in currently. You got some signature wins, sure, but you also don't make the tournament for the third straight year. You're getting knocked out of the first round of the ACC tournament as well. There's not a whole lot coming back. You lose your leading scorer in Brandon Childress. It just doesn't feel like there's any excitement around the program. Like, next year, you're not any more excited than you were this year. Honestly, you might be a little less excited without Brandon Childress in the lineup. And who knows what the hell Olivier Sarr is going to do.
That's true, man. Well, I tell you what, you come back if they hire you to come back, and you try and pick it up.
I think his contract's fully guaranteed. So if they let him go this year, next year, whatever, he's owed.
Yeah,
whatever's
he's still
a lot
on
of money.
He
He's
still
a lot.
gets his money. But I was always of the opinion you give the gentleman a chance. To me, he's had his chance. This is year number 6, correct?
He just finished up 6.
Yes, wow.
Just
yes,
finished
he's been
year
6
number
years.
6.
2
You know-
NCAA tournament appearances.
Yeah, in my opinion, after you finish year 6 and he's standing where he is in year 6, the culture has actually gone down. There's no excitement amongst the student body. There's no excitement at the games.
Attendance is down.
Attendance is definitely down. I mean, to me, you start looking for someone else. You use that old cliche. I think we're going to go in a different direction.
Your services are no longer required.
Honestly, but I think that if you do go in a different direction, it has to absolutely be a safe choice because Tie-Dye Nation is tired of hearing about rebuilding. They're not going to want to hear about a rebuild next year. You've been rebuilding for 6 years, It feels like, outside of the John Collins year.
But with the recruiting class, I mean, they're going to be rebuilding regardless.
I'm telling you.
It doesn't matter who comes in. I mean, it doesn't matter who the coach is. They're going to be rebuilding.
They're not. They have to get a guy in there that can lend the upper echelon talent of North Carolina, and then you get a 1-year turnaround. But they're not getting guys like that, and they're also competing with Ivy League schools for talent.
Yeah.
No diss to the Ivy League once again, but you're not going to compete in the ACC with Ivy League players.
I mean, Duke's doing the same thing, but Duke's bringing in, they've perfected the one and done type thing. It's almost like Danny tried to go one and done route, and it backfired on him, like with Jalen Horde. And I feel like he's going to be here next year. Like, I'm starting to really feel like they're not going to let him go. Not because of money or anything like that, but they just don't know what to do with the basketball program.
I think money's a big factor, though, because, I mean, Danny's owed some big bucks. And
Yeah,
it's
I think he's still like $18 million or something like that.
they're going to have to swallow a big pill if they do decide to cut him loose. But I'm honestly at a point where I'm always on the Danny Manning bandwagon. I like the way he's running the program. They're staying out of trouble
They play
for
hard.
the most part. They play hard. They seem to like him. But it's also, you're kind of at the point where you're ready to kind of see something new.
Okay, well, you like the program. They play hard. What's missing?
I think
Talent.
Well, yeah.
For one.
I think
Just
Brandon
one.
touched on it in the very beginning of this segment, where it's almost like the excitement is missing, like it's gone. Like, I don't get excited about Wake Forest at all. Where like just 10 years ago they were ranked number 1 in the country at one point during that season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't know if that's a reflection of Danny and his coaching style. But then again, you go back and look at the number of guys that have left the program early, the number of guys that decided to try to go pro early and failed.
Transfer programs.
Transfers, guys they had to kick off the team. Like they've had this churn of talent that have come in and out. Like he's had talented teams. He's had the team with John Collins on it. They still finished like I think like 11th in the ACC or something
that was
year.
a really good group. And John Collins was a kid that Danny was actually on pretty early, but he was a guy that blew up late, and Wake was kind of fortunate to get him when they did. He was really a surprise story, but they need to really focus on establishing a culture.
Yeah. See, I mean, so the question becomes, is Danny the one to do that? Because he's had 6 years to try to establish a culture. Isn't that long enough to know if a guy's going to be able to do this or not? Like, it just feels like Wake has turned into a football school, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
That they would be considered football first before basketball.
Or the fact that it's the second day of the ACC tournament, and we're getting ready to lock in for baseball season at Wake
Right,
now.
exactly.
We're already locked in.
It's done. It's just completely done. Like, nobody even wants to talk about basketball with them. Now, if you ask a Wake Forest fan, I think it's pretty clear what they want. They want Danny gone. Like, they respect him as a person.
Sure.
They love the fact he's from this area, but they want something new. Like, they want something to get excited about. And we've talked about candidates on this show. Wes Miller's come up. Shaka Smart's come up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. It feels like they're going to keep him.
Maybe I even go with the younger Prosser. He's doing great things at Western Carolina.
Yeah, Randolph
He
Childress
really
is sitting on the bench.
Randolph,
I mean, he might be
and I don't know,
sentimental pick.
I think that would definitely be a good, but I don't know if he if he relates to the players like you need to, as far as getting these younger guys to commit.
They need a recruiter.
Yeah, they need somebody.
that can
They need a
recruit.
Jeff Cable.
Yeah.
That was another guy I thought they should have went after, but
you see what
knocked
he's
him out
done
of
in
the tournament.
what he's done with Pittsburgh. Yeah, they knock him out of the tournament
with
last
Carolina
night.
kids.
He's recruiting. He's in 1 year he's turned Pittsburgh from the worst team in the league into a pretty feisty bunch of kids, and they're going to do pretty well. So I mean,
most of their guys are underclassmen right now too. You got the guy Champagne's a freshman. Aldesi Tony from North Carolina played high school with Joey Baker. He's a sophomore. You just got Trey McGowan's out there, sophomore, great player from South Carolina. Guys at Wake Forest really should have been on, and ends up costing them their season, to be honest with you.
So that was the first game last night. The second game, me and Rod in particular, are unapologetically Carolina fans. Anyone listening to this show, they know that for a fact. Rod graduated from Carolina. We've suffered through one of the worst seasons in the history of us rooting for this program this year. But I think in the back of our heads, we kind of thought maybe they might be able to get on some sort of run once the ACC tournament happens. Because if not, the whole thing's over. I don't even think they're getting invited to the NIT. They don't have a record over 500.
It would be strictly like from a brand standpoint.
Right. It's like, let's get them here to get some fans' money in here. But they won last night 78-56 over Virginia Tech. Great game. Garrison Brooks scored 20. Brandon Robinson had 17 on 5 3-pointers, including a sick crossover through his legs that kind of had the guy stumbling as he did a little step back, hit a 3. He was feeling himself last night. I enjoyed it. It was Randolph Childress light. Like he just kind of was feeling himself. And I'm hoping he can do that for 3-4 days in a row. He's a senior. It'd be a great way to send him out.
Yeah.
But he played fantastic. It looked like he was very confident last night.
It felt like he remembered he was an ACC caliber shooting guard. Honestly, like, bro, you're at Carolina. Like,
well, they took the bubble wrap off of him. He's been hurt.
He has
all
been
year.
banged up.
I mean, it's been everything from he started the year off with a bad ankle, the car accident where a guy with a DUI hit him.
But I feel like we've been leading up to this moment for 3 seasons now.
Yeah. He's always had somebody in front of him. Cam Johnson or Luke May or whoever was always in front of him there.
Kenny, who do we have? The shooting guard? Forgot. Kenny Williams.
Oh, Kenny Williams. Yeah, Kenny Williams. I mean, and those guys were 4-year guys. So, I mean, he just had to wait his turn. But Armando Bacot had 20 points, 11 rebounds.
He's a pro, fellas.
Cole Anthony had 10 and 8 rebounds. It also feels like, too, and Rod, I want to get your opinion on this. It feels like Cole has kind of calmed down a little bit compared to where he was at the beginning of the year. It felt like in the beginning of the year he thought that he had to score 30 points for them to win. Now it feels like he's becoming more of a facilitator, and it feels like the Carolina offense is running better because of it. Because remember, back in the beginning of the year, we were wondering if this team could score 70 points because they could not. And now they're scoring 80-plus points.
On the regular.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks it feels like. I mean, what are your thoughts on what Cole's done to his game?
Well, I think he's taken a page out of Roy Williams' book. I think he's really listening to Roy now. I think Roy's been preaching it to him since he's gotten back to try and facilitate and not to do too much. But, of course, coming back out, Cole had to try and test out that knee, make sure it was good, and let all the scouts know that he can go to the basket, he can put weight on it and do what he needs to do. But the other part of that is the other guys on the team, and you all mentioned it, that they're healthy now. So with those guys being healthy, it's like the team when they played Gonzaga at the beginning of the year. All those guys were there. They were healthy. I think they also played Oregon at the beginning of the year with a healthy team.
Yeah, they beat Oregon.
I mean, that's what the team actually looked like yesterday or last night. And Cole Anthony, great facilitator, drive and kick out. I mean, he did some good things last night. He kind of reminded me, or he had flashes of Ty Lawson last night, which is a great person to have flashes of, especially and something that we talked about during the year was at one point we didn't look like we knew how to pass the ball in the mid. I mean, it didn't matter if it was on a fast break or if we were in a 2-3 zone or defending or going against a 2-3 zone. We couldn't get the ball to the inside to save our lives.
And they still have a little bit of problems with that because there was a couple of times last night where, like, I think Justin Pierce or somebody would be standing right around the free throw line, and they have it drilled in their head to throw it down into the post. That a lot of times they're just standing there wide open 10 feet out, and they don't even look to shoot. Like Bacot had that a couple of times yesterday, and they throw this weird pass. They try to throw it over somebody or around their hand.
What got me
never works.
Was it feels like Bacot is not comfortable shooting that shot yet. It seems like, but also they kept the ball so low. Like Garrison Brooks was calling for the rock a few times in the post, and they tried to do that entry pass off the bounce. It's like you can't bounce pass it when the guy's 6'10" with a baby on him in the post. Like keep that thing high.
Yeah, and later on they started going to like a weird looking pick and roll where Cole Anthony would throw it over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And that missed alley, I've seen that.
Drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Shout out to Jalen Cone, though, Walkertown native, who played a lot of minutes for Virginia Tech this season and played last night, too. Yeah, he did pretty well. He's a very good three-point shooter.
Which was a knock. It's funny because people were always in my ear about him playing at Virginia Tech, saying that, they weren't sure if he was going to be a shot maker at the ACC level. And it just goes to show you, man, you can't bet against this kid.
I think he was averaging about 50% from three for the year, too. So keep an eye on Jalen. We just had a sister Joy on as our high school athlete of the week last week for Sports Carolina Monthly. Great family, the Cone family. A lot of athletes in there too. So Jalen did his thing last night, but Carolina advances to play 6th seed Syracuse. I tried to get Johnny O to come through today. He couldn't make it because it's going to be the last time Carolina and Syracuse play against each other this season. We're going to pick who's going to win that game a little bit later on in the show. But how far can these Tar Heels go in this ACC tourney? Because I'm looking at the brackets, and they've got Syracuse tonight, and that's a winnable game. They just beat Syracuse in the Carrier Dome 2 weeks ago, pretty handily. After Syracuse, though, tomorrow they'd have to play Louisville. Now, Louisville's lost like 2 or 3 games here towards the end of the season. They're not playing as well as they were at the beginning of the year. They did beat the brakes off of Carolina when they saw them. I think like 20-plus points. It was never really a game.
It was ugly.
But it was at the Yum Center, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was at Louisville. So how do you feel? And plus, Carolina, more odds are they were missing somebody injury-wise. Somebody didn't play in that game probably. It might have been Brandon Robinson now that I'm thinking about it. What are the odds that Carolina can get to Saturday? Forget winning the whole thing, but just getting through the next 2 nights. Syracuse and then Louisville.
It would be lovely if we could get to Saturday, because then we'd be eligible for the NIT, I believe. We'd be right at 500, I think.
Well, I've got them at 14 and 18.
We're 14. Oh, so we'd be 1 game short if we got to Saturday.
They'd have to basically win the whole thing. But if they win the whole thing, then
they
NIT
get the NCAA tournament. Yeah.
They'll be like a 12 or 13 seed in the NCAA tournament with an 18 and 18 record or something like that. But they'd be ACC tournament champs.
And I think that's the 13th seed you don't want to see if you're a 2 seed or a 3 seed.
Especially this season. This season, it didn't. There's not a team in the country that scares me to have to face them if my team saw them. Even Kansas has been the unanimous number 1 for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of them at all. Like I'm like, they're all right. They're Kansas. They're better than some of these other teams that are out there. But I just don't. I'm not scared of anybody. I've just been waiting for Carolina to kind of figure out who they are. And I saw a little bit of that last night. They kind of figured out. I think a lot of it, too, they mentioned this on the telecast. When Cole first started, it was like the team was deferring to him. When he got hurt and was missing for 10 games, the team became Garrison Brooks' team.
Yeah.
And when Cole came back, it was like they couldn't figure out the first couple of games, like whose team it was.
That dynamic, yeah.
So, like, they weren't fighting with each other, but they were kind of like, well, this needs to run through me or this needs to run through him. And the other guys didn't know either. And it feels like Cole has deferred to Garrison the past 2 weeks. And because of that, the offense has started churning and started running the way it's supposed to.
Well, every great Carolina team has had that dynamic of a great point guard as well as a great big man. If you think about it, that's always the 2 pieces you got to have. On any great Carolina team, we've always seen that. I think point guard play is going to be crucial in March, though. Guard play wins games. And if Cole's out there making plays, getting guys involved and taking smart shots. I think he definitely improved in one category. It's his shot selection. He's taking smarter shots. I think he's got to keep that up.
Well, I'll be honest with you. March is a time for madness. And, of course, anything can happen. I love my Tar Heels. We won last night. We have an opportunity to win. I think we can beat Syracuse tonight. But I think if we win tonight, I think that's it. I don't think we win tomorrow.
You're trying to be a realist over here.
Well, I'm always, I'm one of the realest people you're going to meet.
That's
even when
That's
it comes to
buddy.
talking about my Cowboys or anything in life, period. I'm as real as it's going to get.
I believe you.
The thing is this right here. Fresh legs. It's tournament time. We've expended quite a bit of energy last night playing Virginia Tech, trying to make sure we didn't have a double overtime game against them again. We're going to expend a lot of energy tonight against Syracuse. Syracuse had the night off last night. Okay, so that's one up. So we're going to have to expend some more energy. Now you go to a Louisville who's had the last 2 nights off, and then we have not. So that's tired legs. And when it gets down, and how many do we still have? 7, 8, 9 guys playing now? Is it 8 guys playing now?
Well,
about 9.
Christian Keelan rolled his ankle last night. Well, got stepped on his ankle, but he came back in the game. He had a limp. But
so we got about 9 guys playing right now. So when it gets down to the end of the second half, I could see us beginning to get gassed.
But my thing is on the other side of it, they didn't really expend a whole lot of energy from the starters last night. They took everybody out with 4 minutes left.
Anthony and Baycott came out with about 2-3 minutes to go.
I think they got their rest there. Depending on how the Syracuse game go, you never know. But can we not forget about those UConn teams that have gone in and won 8 games straight? Sometimes if you take 2 weeks off, you get a little rusty too.
That's true. I was going to say them playing every night might actually help them a little bit.
I'm saying.
With playing Syracuse helps tonight because Syracuse, we know they're going to play 2-3 zones. So they don't have to exert so much offensively. If all the teams in the ACC, I've always said Carolina's the one team that's figured out how to play the Syracuse zone as long as they have a post player that can pass or shoot from 10 feet out. And they do in Garrison Brooks this year. And Leakey can play that role as well. In the past, it's been Theo Pinson's done that. We've seen Bryce Johnson do it. Bryce Johnson destroyed them in that role. You just basically work the zone to get behind the first two guards. Right around the free throw line, there's a hole right there. And usually Syracuse leaves that open. If you want to take that shot, take it. Whatever. But Carolina has backdoor cuts and things to get behind the bottom three on the baseline, so they can get that pretty quick. But then if they got a guy that can hit that 10-footer pretty confidently, brings one of those guys from that bottom line up because they have to respect him. And because of that, it makes it even more open. So Carolina's kind of figured it out.
I believe we can.
I think they're going to win.
We can definitely beat Syracuse. And like I said, I don't think we'll be able to take Louisville. And Brandon, I know you said that the UConn teams and all that good stuff, and it's awesome. But I tell you what, if we get past Syracuse tonight, and as real as I'm going to be, as Brandon, I'm willing to take you on a steak dinner against my Tar Heels against Louisville.
Wait, what?
If you think that is what can happen, the young man Brandon.
So you're choosing. Wait, you're choosing Louisville?
Choosing Louisville if we win tonight. We got to win tonight.
I think we could revisit this on Saturday. Let's just get past Syracuse.
Because by that point, the game would have already been played on Saturday. Because they're going to play on Friday night.
I don't want to look past Syracuse.
Listen, but that's just not the way I roll. And I'll tell you what, if Louisville was to lose to the Tar Heels, I would be the buying Brandon a steak dinner in the world.
I never turned down a steak dinner, though. Let's make that clear.
Is this an Applebee's steak or is this a Ruth Chris steak? Because that's a huge difference.
Hey, that's up to Brandon, Big Daddy. That's up to Brandon.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I've been trying to avoid this, fellas, but I can't any longer. The coronavirus has affected sports in ways we never would have thought imaginable a few weeks ago.
It's affecting life.
Man. Yeah, it's affecting life. What will happen in pro and college sports over the next few weeks? We'll look into what we know so far, give you an update on what we know news-wise, and give you our thoughts on what's happening next on The Rundown.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville. Their service facility is independently owned and operated by Mac Allen, providing full-service repair and maintenance services. They use the latest diagnostic equipment to guarantee your vehicle is repaired or serviced properly and in a timely fashion. Mac and his team pride themselves on commitment to the local community and providing value-driven service in an inviting, friendly environment. Go see Mac at Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville for all of your automotive maintenance needs.
Should be played at high volume.
Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service has served Winston-Salem and surrounding areas for over 50 years. In addition to collision repair, Ray's also performs auto painting and towing. Using only the best quality products and materials, Ray's team of technicians is the best of the best. Family owned and operated, all of their work is guaranteed. When you find yourself in a bind, their 24-hour emergency towing and wrecker service is here to help. Call Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service today for a free estimate. 336-788-6174.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza and Italian Restaurant, 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream is a modern-day American diner serving burgers, sandwiches, wings, ribs, other quality food, and ice cream since 1945. Located only minutes from East Forsyth at 2600 New Walkertown Road. Every Monday, 35-cent boneless wings, and every Wednesday, 50-cent bone-in wings. 100% fresh, never frozen Angus beef burgers, fried fish, steak, shrimp, chicken platters, and more. Delivery now available through Grubhub, Takeout Central, and DoorDash. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville. Their service facility is independently owned and operated by Mac Allen, providing full-service repair and maintenance services. They use the latest diagnostic equipment to guarantee your vehicle is repaired or serviced properly and in a timely fashion. Mack and his team pride themselves on commitment to the local community and providing value-driven service in an inviting, friendly environment. Go see Mack at Haviland Express Lube of Kernersville for all of your automotive maintenance needs.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
I'm deadly when I pull the pin out. I'm deadly when I pull the pin out.
Welcome back to the rundown. Des, Rod, Brandon in the house. Give a special shout out to Jimmy and the fine folks over at East Coast Wings in Kernersville. They're hosting us live today. They're always great when we come through. This is the home of the Nest with head coach Todd Willard, the East Forsyth head coach. Season 2 will premiere, I want to say, last week of August. So we got a little ways to go. And we got some special news regarding East Forsyth that we'll be giving to you guys, a special collaboration with Sports Corner Monthly and Game of Inches coming up soon. A big, huge situation that we'll get into that a little bit later on, but I'll give you that news as well. Supersize at Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream in Winston's 2600 near Walkertown Road, so definitely come over there. Come over here and check us out during lunch. They're out here slinging wings and whatnot, giving us water and everything. Our beautiful waitress helping us out here, so come see us. We'll be here till around 1 o'clock today. Did want to talk about coronavirus. Can't really get around it at this point. Just to give you first, let me lay out what's going on, and then I'll bring back in the panel here. The NBA's Board of Governors is preparing to confer with the Commissioner's Office today, sometime this afternoon, in a critical conference call on the coronavirus crisis. One of the scenarios introduced into the league's conversation involves moving some of the games to NBA cities that have yet to suffer outbreaks. If the virus clusters and forces a team out of the city and arena for a period of time, there have been discussions about moving games to the away opponent's arena if that city hasn't suffered an outbreak, or even moving games to neutral cities and sites. The NBA is discussing a number of possibilities, including eliminating fans from buildings for games, or more drastically, suspending game operations for a period of time. The Chinese Basketball Association, they did this when this first happened, and they shut down the whole league for, I think, almost 2 months, and they're just now starting to come back to continue play. I don't know if the NBA could do that or not, but it's on the table. Sources are saying decisions on this option remain complicated by the fact that there have been a limited amount of public testing for the coronavirus in the United States. There is no full understanding of how widespread or debilitating the virus could become in the country. LeBron James had mentioned a couple of days ago that if the NBA decided to play games in front of fans, he would not play. He kind of backpedaled on that as more information has been coming out. Here's the audio from there.
Well, it's funny because when I was asked the question of would you play without no fans, I had no idea that it was actually a conversation going on behind closed doors about the particular virus. Obviously, I would be very disappointed at, not having the fans, because that's what I play for. I play for my family. I play for my fans. They're saying no one could actually come to the game if they decide to go to that point. So I'd be disappointed in that. But at the same time, you gotta listen to the people that's keeping a track on what's going on, and if they feel like it's best for the safety of the players, the safety of the franchise, safety of the league, to mandate that, then we all listen to it.
The NCAA is discussing contingency plans for the NCAA tourney, including not playing in front of fans. Also, Carolina head coach Roy Williams joked about the coronavirus after the Tar Heels win over Virginia Tech last night.
We're lucky we played well enough, and now we get to stay and play another game unless they cancel the tournament or something. We'll be here playing tomorrow.
Which at the time, everyone's like, ha, 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 but we don't – I think they're going to make it to Saturday at least, but this is starting to affect conferences and leagues across the country. Second-ranked Gonzaga clinched an auto bid last night in the West Coast Conference Finals. Head coach Mark Few had comments about the tough decisions ahead for the NCAA, and fellas, I hadn't even thought about this before, but there's a possibility they might end up having to play – NCAA March Madness tournament games in front of empty arenas, which would just kind of defeat the purpose of why they do it. And I'm not sure they want to do it that way, but Mark Few brought up the idea that it's possible.
Obviously we've never ever dealt with anything like this, so it's all new, and we're all just waiting to see and hoping and I should say trusting that wise decisions will be made on both ends to keep everybody safe, but also fully taken into account that these guys have waited their whole life to play in this tournament, and so and what it means to them. And so I'm hoping some prudent and wise decisions will be made, taking all that in.
Now, just this morning, as I was actually putting this show together, more news was coming out about different responses. Last night, Duke University canceled on-campus classes for the remainder of the semester as they'll move more to online classes. They also extended their spring break, so it's like 2 weeks long right now. In response to the coronavirus outbreak, USC this morning is implementing attendance protocols that'll ban fans from home athletic events starting Wednesday, today, and running through March 29th. The events will be limited to participating student athletes, their families, coaches, officials, other essential personnel like medical teams, team personnel, media, and USC recruits. In Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine recommended that indoor teams in that state play without fans for the immediate future. The Cleveland Cavaliers are on a 6-game road trip and don't return home until March 24th, which gives them time to evaluate the recommendation and decide how to proceed. The NBA had already eliminated the media from the locker rooms a few days ago, and what the league said will be a temporary measure. So has Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, and the National Hockey League. If a player contracted the virus, total suspension of play league-wide would be on the table. I bring back in my panel, Brandon Blakeney and Rod Funderburk. What are your thoughts on this? How serious should we be taking this? Because on one hand, we've got the President of the United States basically telling us to go out and live life and everything's fine. And then maybe 2 hours later, he's at the CDC and he's talking about how, everybody needs to be careful and all this other stuff. There's a lot of mixed signals being thrown out, and I think that's contributing to the quote-unquote hysteria.
First off, what in the hell does Mike Pence know about medical health care in the field anyway?
He doesn't believe in science.
The guy doesn't believe in science, so I'm already suspect there.
Yeah, before you go further, when he was the governor of, I think, Indiana, there was an HIV outbreak. And during that outbreak, it was because of the way he handled it as governor in terms of like prevention and getting info out and things of that sort. So it became worse than it needed to be. And I feel like that's kind of happening with this now, with the coronavirus being unchecked. There's still no testing, really, mass testing for it, although the president claims that if you need to get tested, you can get tested.
I mean, it seems like, though, you have to be visibly sick or like close to death to even qualify for a test. Shout out to them though for getting the 4 million extra tests prepared and ready, hopefully going out the end of this week. But this is affecting everyday life. Countries are being shut down, cities across the world. This is bigger than America. I mean, this is an international issue.
South Korea, Italy
has
China,
canceled
Japan.
Series A soccer. Italy Series A soccer is one of the 4 biggest leagues in football, which is the most popular sport in the world. They've canceled games already across the board. I mean, this is nuts right now.
Yeah, but even in addition to games, man, you're talking about an economy,
right?
That are shut down.
Yeah,
ghost towns.
Yeah, the economy is definitely slowing down. I mean, even in the areas of logistics and the way freight is being moved right now, you can see that there's a slowdown in it. And even in China, people are mandated that they didn't have to stay at home and they're not allowed to leave and they're being quarantined. And, that's one of the differences between us and China, whereas the president says we can move around and do what we want to do. A lot of people are doing exactly that instead of taking a step back, pausing for a minute, being still, and making sure that we can get this virus under control and get it situated. And I think as long as we keep moving around and going on about our day-to-day, it's going to continue to spread. It's going to continue to affect us. And what bothers me is how this thing will affect the people who are over the age of 60, 65. Us in here, we could possibly be carrying this thing, not necessarily realize it, and pass it off, say, to a parent of that age.
Or a child.
Or a child, exactly. And that's not something that, I want to be responsible for doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So me personally, I think we should all step back and, maybe games will suffer. Fine. The worst part is the economy is going to suffer because if people are out of work and not working because we can't get this thing locked down, there's not going to be any money for them to go see a basketball game or a football game or participate in any of these curricular activities. But, man, this is a serious thing. It's more serious than I thought it was, to be honest with you.
Honestly,
me too. Yeah, because I've been kind of looking at, like, you see the memes online where it's like, every election year some kind of virus or something comes out to scare everybody. Bird flu, swine flu, Ebola, whatever it is. So not that I'm saying that they put this out because it's an election year or anything of the sort, but that mentality is out there. So you're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. And then you read, like, the symptoms and what's going on, and it's like, if you're not over the age of 80 or under the age of 9, you might get it and then or be exposed to it, and you'll have a fever. You may have a cough, that kind of thing. It doesn't even seem like you get all the symptoms from the regular flu. But then after that, for the most part, I think, like, for the most part, the majority of people that get this, they get over it and they move on. Now, I don't know if it's one of those types of things where you can't get it again after you have it or anything like that, with it being a virus, but I hadn't really thought about it. And you guys know what I do for this and outside of this. I'm around a lot of people, like, all day, in and out of just different, like, I'm in the public a lot. So I was always washing my hands already, but now I feel like I'm washing them to the point where they look chapped, like it feels like I've been, like, starting forest fires or something with them. They look all, like, ashy.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Keep doing it.
Constantly washing my hands. And then every time somebody tells me, don't touch your face, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth, it immediately makes me want me to touch my face. Like, them telling me not to touch my face makes me want to touch my face.
They've been saying, like, it's things that we can't do that we were doing a few months ago. Like, we can't carry ourselves the same way. Even Governor Roy Cooper said that last night in his commencement.
But it's so hard to do that when you're getting conflicting. And I hate going political on this show. I don't like doing it, even though people that follow me online know I'm a pretty political-minded guy when it comes to what's going on in the world around us. It's hard to shift gears in life, like your regular normal life, when the commander-in-chief and leader of the free world is telling us conflicting info every day. Whereas, see, this is why it was important. People thought that it was going to be great to have somebody in there that could shake things up and drain the swamp and all this other stuff. But when in times of crisis, you need someone that can heal and that can soothe the public, not Republicans, not Democrats, not independents, everyone. And regardless of how you felt about Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Bill Clinton or any of these other guys that came before the current president, if there was some sort of crisis or something going on, we all still look to them for guidance. Like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? And I don't know if there's any sort of plan, like any kind of concrete plan for the country. It feels like they're winging it, and that's scary as hell.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, we have to look to the medical profession, and I don't know a lot of people in the medical profession, but, I just learned this on Monday night. I was out speaking with a nurse on Monday night, and she was telling me, she said, the coronavirus is actually, on hard surfaces. So the reason that they tell you not to touch your hands to your face is because you could pick it up from a hard surface. If you're somewhere, your hands are always touching surfaces. So that's where it lives. And then you put it on your hands on your face or wherever, then you have now contracted it. And so she was saying that's why they always say, wash your hands, do whatever you need to do, because you're always touching some kind of hard surface. So that came from a nurse who's very familiar with it. I don't know much about it, but I'm just sharing that because I was able to get that little bit of information from her.
If you look on the back of, like, Lysol cans or whatever, it's been on the back of a Lysol can forever that this kills coronavirus and that kind of thing. So that goes along with what you're saying about hard surfaces or whatever, to spray disinfectant on it to clean it. But it just feels like we're not getting enough info, because on one hand we're seeing what's happening at the top levels, but then we're seeing stuff like the other day, the Ivy League canceled their basketball tourney for both men and women. They gave the auto bids to the regular season champs, which I feel bad for those kids because they don't get a chance to play in these tournaments. But them doing that, Duke canceling classes. I teach part-time at Forsyth Tech. They're talking about contingency plans as we speak. That might change between now and by the time I sit down to watch Carolina tonight at 9. There's no telling. So it's made me shift immediately. Probably yanked me out of a sense of normality, I guess, where, like, I'm thinking I can go about doing whatever I do during the day. Everything's cool. The thing that I think drove it home for me, though, was this morning. I drive my kids to school every morning, and I usually have to wait in line for a long period of time to get them in there. When I took my youngest, Brooklyn, to elementary school this morning, there was no line. Like, literally, I got there about the time I normally do, and I'm just zipping through the car line. There's no one there, and I got towards the end of it to get ready to drop her off. I'm like, where is everybody today? And I think people are starting to keep their kids at home, and that's when I was like, then when I took my oldest Cameron to school. She goes to East Forsyth. It was the same thing. Like there was no line really to get her down into the parking lot. And I'm like, okay, a switch has been flipped in terms of people. Now it's at the top of mind for people, and they're starting to look around and think. And I'm thankful we're out in public right now. We're at East Coast Wings in Kernersville, and they got a full bar area, people enjoying lunch.
And I'm scared. And I'm scared to eat out right now, to be honest with you.
Every time I see somebody sneeze or cough or something, I kind of
exactly
like, whoa, don't start
that. yeah, exactly. You're just looking like and scritching,
which is bad because I don't want to think that way. But it's almost like the media and just what we're hearing about all these things getting canceled. They canceled Coachella until I think October or something. They pushed it back. So I mean, these large events. I told Brandon I got invited to. The evening session of the ACC tournament tonight. A good friend of mine that I went to high school with has 2 extra tickets and offered them to me. And my youngest, Brooklyn, she's become super interested in basketball. She's 9. I signed her up for basketball clinic that starts next Wednesday so she can kind of learn everything. Yeah, I'm trying to really get her in it. And I was like, well, it'd be great for me to take Brooklyn to this thing at the Coliseum. But the game's at 9 o'clock and it's a school night. I was like, nah, that's not gonna work. We're not gonna be home till like midnight.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow. If they win tonight and they go, then maybe I'll keep her out Friday and just keep Cam out too and do that. But I hate to say it, but in the back of my head, I was like, do I want to put her like in a building with 23,000 people for 3 hours or whatever, just because of everything I'm starting to hear now about everything else? I'm happy the ACC tournament's still continuing on, and I think it was the right decision. But we just don't know enough about what's going on, and I'm very fearful we'll never know exactly what's going on because of the administration we have right now. And you mentioned it before the show began, Rod. The department that would have been handling prevention and testing and corralling this doesn't really exist anymore. It got eliminated basically when this administration came in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When the last administration was in under President Obama and Joe Biden, what they did was they set up there was some Ebola issues that came in, and so they had made sure that each hospital.
Good old Ebola. Those are the good old days.
Oh yeah. So there were certain areas that people could be ushered to. So for example, if someone got off of a cruise ship, they already had makeshift areas already set up at hospitals, so all those people could be immediately taken from the cruise ship and taken to these hospitals. And this was just for any kind of disease that came up. Well, when this administration came in, they decided, hey, we don't need that anymore. It's no good. It's under Obama. Obama was a waste. So what they did was they basically eliminated it, took away people's jobs. And now what they're trying to do is start over and do that again, because now they're having all these testings, which the testings would have already been in place.
It's in the middle of it.
Yeah. So they're trying to start over and do all this stuff again when it was already set up to be handled. So I mean,
it's so petty.
Granted, we may not get along with this party or that party, but really we have to think about the good of the whole, everyone, the people. The United States of America and the citizens who live here. That's who we should be thinking about, not because this party had this set up or that party had that set up, and so we want to get rid of it just because of that. No, you have to think about how this can help people if it's needed.
So real quick, and then we're going to take another quick break. But for both of you, what are your feelings right now in terms of, are we going to be able to get through the NCAA tournament? Like, do you feel like there's a chance that we don't? I don't think they'll cancel it, but I think there's a strong chance we might have a Final Four in 3 weeks in front of an 80,000 seat dome with no one sitting in it watching them.
It's very possible, man. Listen, I canceled my trip to Philadelphia this weekend. I may be canceling my trip to Las Vegas next week simply because of this coronavirus stuff. So, I mean, yeah, we could see cancellations of games, especially when we hear folks in the medical industry saying this thing is going to get worse before it gets better, because
you're going to the draft, the NFL draft.
Yeah,
right?
I'm supposed to be going to the NFL draft.
I don't even know if they're going to have it in front of the public.
They may not have it at all. I mean, who knows?
It was outside, I think.
Yeah, it was going to be outside. Yeah, outside of Caesar's Palace. It's going to be great. But as the tournament goes on, they may cancel games here and there due to outbreaks in certain cities, because we don't know what outbreaks are in what cities. And, and there may be a record low turnout because of this. Who knows? I don't know.
I've heard WWE's talking contingency plans about rescheduling WrestleMania because people don't understand with WrestleMania, people come from parts of the world to watch it. It's in Tampa this year. They're talking about moving maybe to Madison Square Garden, which would be a huge deal. The Greensboro Coliseum right now is in the middle of basically hosting 3 tournament weeks back to back to back. They had the women's ACC tournament last week. They've got the men's ACC tournament right now, and then they're hosting the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament next week. So they're going to have people in and out of there, especially next week. You're going to have people in and out of there from different states, like different teams coming in there.
States that have had the
that
virus.
Have had it. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you do? And then you talk about if they decide to do it without fans or whatever, you got to think about, you touched on it, Rod, the economy part of it. Greensboro's depending on that money coming into the city, vendors, hotels, people that are working at the Coliseum Park.
Yeah, the whole service industry.
All of it. And then busing, like everything around it. It affects everything. So it's like a domino effect that's going to be real crazy. And hopefully they get underneath it soon so it doesn't blow up into something much, much bigger, like Captain Tripp style, The Stand, Stephen King type craziness.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it for sure. Anything that affects it with sports or whatnot, we'll give you the latest here on the rundown. Let's take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to go back to Greensboro for the ACC tournament. There are 8 teams playing tonight. 2 teams are playing right now, matter of fact. We're going to take quick picks on who we think will advance to Thursday night. Plus, I want to touch on this Charles Barkley versus Draymond Green beef that's been actually festering for a couple of years now. It's been relit, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet. I wanted to touch on that before we got out of here today. You're listening to The Rundown.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
This should be played at high volume.
Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service served Winston-Salem and surrounding areas for over 50 years. In addition to collision repair, Ray's also performs auto painting and towing. Using only the best quality products and materials, Ray's team of technicians is the best of the best. Family owned and operated, all of their work is guaranteed. When you find yourself in a bind, their 24-hour emergency towing and wrecker service is here to help. Call Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service today for a free estimate. 336-788-6174.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
This should be played at high volume.
Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service has served Winston-Salem and surrounding areas for over 50 years. In addition to collision repair, Ray's also performs auto painting and towing. Using only the best quality products and materials, Ray's team of technicians is the best of the best. Family owned and operated, all of their work is guaranteed. When you find yourself in a bind, their 24-hour emergency towing and wrecker service is here to help. Call Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service today for a free estimate. 336-788-6174. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream is a modern-day American diner serving burgers, sandwiches, wings, ribs, other quality food, and ice cream since 1945. Located only minutes from East Forsyth at 2600 New Walkertown Road. Every Monday, 35-cent boneless wings, and every Wednesday, 50-cent bone-in wings. 100% fresh, never frozen Angus beef burgers, fried fish, steak, shrimp, chicken platters, and more. Delivery now available through Grubhub, Takeout Central, and DoorDash. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to The Rundown. Desmond Johnson, Rod Funderburk, and Brandon Blakeney in the house here as we wind up a Wednesday live from East Coast Wings in Kernersville. Beautiful hospitality. Wanted to give a shout out to Angela, Jimmy, and all the fine folks at East Coast Wings that make this possible. We may be here a little bit more than we have been going forward. We'll talk about that a little bit with the crew as well. Right now, The ACC tournament's going on in Greensboro. Miami taking on Clemson as we speak. We'll give you an update on that score as soon as I get it. But I did want to run through the games today and try to figure out who's going to advance. I do want to mention, I do know one thing about the Greensboro Coliseum and the ACC. With Greensboro hosting it, the last thing they want is a final with two teams in it, and one of them is not from the state of North Carolina. They want someone.
Right,
they want someone. Duke, State, Carolina. That's the only choices they got right now because Wake is out. But their dream would be if Carolina makes a run, gets to Saturday night, and plays Duke in the ACC final in Greensboro. That's what they want. If they get that, then they're happy. Duke and NC State are on the same side of the bracket. They would have I think they would play actually tomorrow. I'll have to look at the bracket to see real quick. But asking you guys, this first game here that's actually being played right now, Miami and Clemson, who should win this game? Miami's been banged up most of the year. I think Chris Likes is back.
Finally, yeah.
Clemson's got some decent quad one wins, actually, on their resume. They beat Duke. I think they beat Florida State. They beat Carolina at Carolina for the first time in history. So, I mean, who should win that matchup and move on, Miami or Clemson?
I think Clemson should definitely win this ball game. I think Clemson's a superior team. I think that they've got Amir Sims, who's a very talented kid. Also, you got the hometown kid, John Newman, playing really good basketball in his sophomore year. There's just a lot of talent around this team. They're deep. It's a veteran group, and they got some versatility as well.
2 o'clock, a game that's going to be interesting. NC State, you want to talk about a Jekyll and Hyde team. NC State taking on Pittsburgh at 2 o'clock today. I might actually eat a little lunch and watch some of that game. Rod, is it weird to root for NC State?
No, not at all. No.
I feel strange.
It's
I feel
not
like
weird
I'm
to
cheating or
root
something.
for NC State. I'm going to be rooting for NC State. Number
Okay, I
one,
feel better now.
because team, like you said earlier, they're inside the state, so of course Greensboro wants to see, one of the teams be in the final that's from North Carolina. But NC State, man, they got my man DJ Funderburk playing down low.
It's your cousin in there.
Yeah, man, I want to see him do his thing, take it to the hoop, and do what he needs to do and handle his business. But I'm also still rooting for NC State's head coach who came over from UNC Wilmington. Still rooting for him.
Kevin Keats.
Yeah, Keats. I want Keats to do well. And Pitt beat Carolina at the beginning of the year, so I'm definitely not looking forward to Carolina or Pitt beating NC State. I want Pitt to go ahead and get knocked right on out because I feel like if we can wind up with NC State, I think Carolina can take care of business with NC State.
I like Pitt, though, man. They've got a good young
scrappy.
core, man. They're scrappy. They
yeah.
play hard, and they can score the basketball, too. And
Yeah.
Jeff Capel's a dope coach.
The 7 o'clock game, the night session, is Boston College taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame was kind of banged up this year as well. They had a kid, who's the kid that made first team? Didn't they have a first team All-ACC kid from Notre Dame?
I think they did. I can't remember his name.
I know the Syracuse kid, Elijah Hughes, made first team, and then you had Carey and Trey Jones. I want to say the Notre Dame kid. No, that doesn't sound right. I think Jordan Nora was the fifth guy.
Yeah, Jordan Nora made first team from Louisville.
Yeah, but they play today, and to be honest with you, I'm not interested in that game whatsoever. Like, I'm just going to be real. Like, I have no interest in watching that game.
Yeah, like that NC State Pitt should have been the 7 o'clock game.
Yeah, if they had flipped it and had it that way, it'd probably been better. So,
or better yet, Notre Dame and Boston College should have been the first game.
Yeah,
the 12 o'clock.
Too, because it's probably got some folks up here from Clemson as well. I'm trying to pull up the bracket for the tournament so I can see who's playing who. Here we go. So tomorrow, and then we talked about Carolina-Syracuse. That's tonight at 9 o'clock. Florida State plays the winner of Clemson and Miami today. Florida State's the 1 seed. That's at 12:30 tomorrow. Duke plays the winner of NC State and Pitt. That's at 2:30 tomorrow. Virginia plays the winner of Notre Dame and Boston College. And Louisville will have the nightcap tomorrow. They play the winner of Syracuse and North Carolina. So those 4 teams, the top 4 teams of the league, got double byes. Florida State won the regular season outright. Virginia snuck up on folks. Like, I'd kind of left them for dead like a couple of weeks ago, and they're just playing ugly defense. Virginia basketball. I hate watching them.
They do what they always do. I mean,
gross.
Bennett is a good coach when it comes to coaching that defense. He is just the man. I don't know what his defensive system or scheme is, but it works. And everybody who plays Virginia, they never score their average of points. It's always below average in point scoring against Virginia. So I don't know what they're doing, but whatever he's doing, it got him a national championship last year.
It's like watching kids play basketball in 2 feet of mud. Like every time I watch them play against Virginia, even Duke had trouble with them. I mean, I think did Duke lose to them? I think last week.
I don't.
Duke lost to somebody so they didn't win the regular season title. They lost to somebody.
I don't know if it was
but even
Virginia.
that game, it was like in the 50s or something at the end of it. It's a mess playing against them.
I mean, they play tough and they switch, man. They're versatile. They play tough.
Yeah.
Every bucket, like they make you work for all of them.
Me just looking through this, I'm going to go with, I didn't look up to see what the score was in the Miami-Clemson game as of this moment, but I'm going to go with Clemson and then NC State at 2. Kind of rooting for Notre Dame to beat Boston College because Boston College, I just don't care for them. And then of course, I'm rooting for the Tar Heels to beat the Orange tonight at 9 and keep this dream alive of this magical run here for Brandon Robinson and the Carolina Tar Heels. I did want to touch on this real quick before we get out of here today. Charles Barkley and Draymond Green are in the middle of a war of words again. They just went through this, I think, last season, and it culminated with Draymond Green coming on inside the NBA. They talked face-to-face or whatnot. But this one's a little bit sharp. I'm not sure what started it, but
I don't know, but Barkley was funny. Barkley said Draymond he goes, Draymond Green's got a face for radio, not for TV.
I've got some of the quotes from him here. Draymond had said, quote unquote, Charles Barkley should stop before I go take his job, though. He already ain't making enough money playing, so he ain't make enough money playing, so he needs that job. He should stop talking to me. No rings, can't sit at this table. To which Charles replied on the Dan Patrick Show regarding Draymond Green, he's like the guy in the boy band who's the least important member, and he thinks the crowd is cheering for him. He doesn't realize he's standing next to Justin Timberlake. He don't have a face for TV. He's got a face for radio. Who was right here? Is it Barkley or is it Green?
Honestly, man, I'm sick of this because I kind of agree with both sides, but at the same time, Barkley's right, man.
He is right.
He's arguing with Lance Bass. You are the blue of the Temptations. You're the glue guy. You're not Otis Redding. You're honestly, man, it just kills me because nobody's ever asked Draymond to be a franchise player.
Right.
Teams aren't game planning against him.
He's the king of the triple single.
He's Tito of the Jackson 5.
He's Tito Jackson. You're Marlon Jackson, my God. Like, Steph Curry is the one they're game planning for. Klay Thompson.
Yep.
It's easy to play defense when you're, shielded by Kevin Durant,
you're a 6'8"
Iggy, Andre Iguodala.
in this small ball world, and I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this started.
He's
I think it was.
Bass.
I want to say it started like last year. Barkley said something about him on a telecast,
Well, Barkley
and Green
says
took
something
offense
about
to it.
everybody.
Right? Yeah.
He does.
But that's his job. He's a TV analyst. He's supposed to analyze your game,
And he's supposed to be entertaining, and he is.
And he is. Draymond kills me. I don't want to overlook the fact, though. I don't think Golden State wins those titles without Draymond.
That's
I
true,
also
true.
think it's impressive that he is a Defensive Player of the Year as a second-round pick in the NBA draft. We can't overlook that, but he'd be way more likable if he was just more humble about the situation because Barkley's a borderline icon.
Well, a lot of the players nowadays are so thin-skinned that like I can't imagine if this happened during when Barkley was playing. If someone had said something to Barkley about it, I can't imagine him reacting the same. Well, maybe I could. I'm just now thinking maybe he might have said something, but I don't think he would have let it fester.
No,
he would have or he wouldn't even said nothing at all. So it's just funny to me how like today's NBA players. And part of it is due to social media and being, so close to the people that are watching you, they can just message you, DM you, whatever, and they can get directly to you. That didn't exist in the 80s and 90s, so it is a different dynamic for sure.
Definitely.
But again, comparing Draymond's playing career to Barkley's playing, I mean, Charles Barkley's a former league MVP. I mean,
and
Barkley's dropped 50 points on somebody before. I mean,
he's a number one option.
He tried to fight
player.
Shaq. He tried to fight Shaq in a basketball game.
I'm not gonna say he lost.
No, they were swinging. They were swinging for sure.
But he's never been asked to be a franchise player in Draymond's case. That's why I agree. He's a glorified role player. And he got to learn his role, man. Stop gold dusting people, kicking them in the crotch.
Especially when your team's only won like 14 games like this season. I know y'all went to 5 finals in a row, but we talking about right now.
Yeah,
and right
if
now,
you're supposed to be a bad man, y'all ought to be better than 14 games.
Truthfully, they could probably get rid of Draymond with Kevon Looney and Eric Pascal playing the way they have. They might could.
I'm kind of the way they're going. They might end up drafting James Wiseman first overall in the draft.
And Brandon,
That's very scary.
And Brandon, I would disagree with you when you said that they wouldn't have won those championships without Draymond. I mean, I think they could have won at least 2 without him.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't
That's
know either.
That glue
I'm not sure.
Think about Golden State before Draymond came. They score 120 on anybody, but they were giving up 150.
Yeah.
He established the toughness and the defensive presence.
The Monta Ellis days.
You definitely need Draymond to win those ships.
But I think he knows his worth because he didn't. I mean, he was up for a new deal. He didn't hold out for crazy money. He took a team-friendly deal.
We're also talking about
per.
a defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I think he's won it twice.
He knows how good
he's won it twice.
He didn't. I mean, if Draymond had left in free agency and went to the Sixers or the Celtics or somebody, to me, he would have got exposed. Like
he is now.
His game, his game is the way it is because he can kick it out to Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. They're the best shooting backcourt in the history of the league. That helps a lot when all you got to do is rebound and score 10, 12 points.
You're going to get open threes. You're telling me you're not going to get 4 open shots
That's
to get
7, 8
12?
assists right there, just having Klay and Steph on your team because they can catch it and shoot like better than anybody. Steph can actually dribble. Klay scored 60-some points in a game and dribbled the ball like 3 times or something nuts.
He can. He doesn't have to. My thing with Draymond, he's a role player. He's got to know his role, man. You talking to a big dog in Charles Barkley. But I do agree, though. I don't think they get those rings without Draymond.
No, I think they do. I mean, Andre Iguodala being there, and then you put somebody else who plays defense in place on Draymond Green.
Yeah, there was nobody else. It was Draymond.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
mean,
mean,
to find somebody to replace.
You had to find somebody to replace him,
Defensive Player of the Year? Ooh.
Yeah, with that team, though, dude.
Yeah.
Curry.
But, I mean, Curry, you still got to play defense. Curry's 3-point
You got to play
you on D.
But I'm saying you got Curry, you got KD.
Before
Thompson.
KD, though, Draymond was already there winning the ring.
Yeah, they won 1, lost 1.
Yeah.
But they lost a 3-1 series lead in the finals with
They
them,
don't
too.
beat LeBron and them without Draymond. I don't see it.
But hey, they're going to be nasty next year for sure. We got to get out of here. The rundown is Monday, Wednesday, and upcoming Supersize rundown this Saturday at 12 noon over at Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream in Winston-Salem. Check us out, sportscarolinamonthly.com, all of our social media, or just type in bestsportstalkshow.com. Thanks to our sponsors, Ray's Body Shop and Record Service, Blue Naples Pizza, Kernersville, Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream in Winston-Salem, East Coast Wings here in Kernersville as well, and Haviland Express Lube in Kernersville. We'll be back this Saturday, 12 noon from Zesto with a full panel, supersized 2-hour rundown. Peace.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.